Welcome to You Talk Sports. Tonight's featured game is LSU versus Caitlin Clark and Iowa in a rematch of last year's women's national championship game. So You Talk Sports is the show where you get to be in the show. And we are excited to have you here tonight with us in this show. We want to get your take on this game and everything that's been happening over this past weekend and week in sports. So let's go ahead and open up the Zoom room here. And if you'd like to join us here on Zoom, just give us a comment on YouTube saying the words Zoom, and we'll drop you the Zoom link. And we're going to be having a watch party for this exciting game. We're going to be checking in on the stats. It's almost coming up to halftime here. And we're going to be getting takes on everything that's been happening all weekend long in March Madness. So much madness there has been. So much fun there has been. And such a great game we're off to here between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, LSU and Iowa. And I'm excited to get your takes on this game and on everything that's been happening here. Again, if you'd like to join us here on Zoom, just go ahead and comment saying Zoom, and we will drop you the Zoom link so that you can join us, like Christian and Edmund and Jeremiah. I see Cameron is hopping in from up on YouTube. And as we always do, let's start with getting your picks for tonight. So go on over to the YouTube chat. I'm going to put the link to it here in Zoom in case you guys on Zoom need the YouTube link. Come on over to the YouTube broadcast and go ahead and put in who you are picking for tonight's game. It was pretty much a pick 'em. I think you might have been able to get this game with +2 for LSU. I saw it some places if you are betting online. And so let's just get everybody on the record with officially who you are taking in tonight's game. And then I want to dive in and get your takes on tonight's game and everything that has been happening here in March Madness. And I'll put mine in there as well. And I see we've got one pick for Iowa so far. Yeah, I'm taking LSU in this game. And just make sure everyone is over here giving us a like and subscribe to our channel. Being totally transparent, we are a new show. We're about 2 months into this now. And part of our plan for reaching more people on YouTube is to get engagement going in the YouTube chat. So we really want to have a lot of our participation going in the YouTube chat. That's what pushes this broadcast out to more people in the algorithm. So it's important that everyone is over there on YouTube. Try to have this, pull it up on another device. I think everyone here is on their computer. Pull up the YouTube broadcast on your phone and just have that open. And that helps us as additional viewers, which helps us to push this out to more and more people. The game is coming in on to halftime here. We've got about a minute to go. It's tied right now. It's been a great battle. Angel Reese was trying to have her Willis Reed moment where she hurt her ankle and went out. And looked like she might be out for the rest of the game, but she immediately came back. So I'm really impressed with her play. I took LSU. I feel like they have the superior team and that they're somewhat in Caitlin Clark's head. But we will see. It's tied right now. It certainly would be a great story for the game for Caitlin Clark to win the national title. Historically speaking, she's done so much for the women's game, broke all the records. But if she doesn't win a national title in her college career, can we really say that she's the greatest college player of all time? I think that'll be part of what I'm excited to get into here. So a tie game, we're coming down to the last possession, and then we're going to go around the horn here and hear from you guys about this game and about how your brackets are doing. We want to check in on our tournament. We have our own in-house tournament here with some prizes donated from our sponsors. And what makes this show so great is we get takes from real fans from all around the country. We've got Pac-10 people here. We've got SEC people here, Big Ten people here. Let's see what LSU can do with this last possession right now. And we'll just open up the scorecast, check in on our box score. and also just check in on our YouTube chat here. I'm going to put the link again for the Zoom here in YouTube. If you'd like to join us up on Zoom, here's the link to join us. And we still need to get some of you guys that are here on Zoom haven't put your picks in here. It's important that we get everyone's picks and get the engagement in the chat there. All right, so let's start with Jeremiah. Tell us what you're looking forward to in tonight's game, and what stood out to you the most over the weekend. Give us the one big thing, one big takeaway.
One big thing from the weekend is definitely North Carolina State. They are on a roll, man. That Burns kid looks like an NFL player, not a college basketball player. That's a grown man. They are hot. I look to see them in UConn in the finals. But as far as this game, I got little girls that have really started to like women's basketball this year with Caitlin Clark. So I've watched a lot. I'm rooting for her. Should be a good game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go ahead and pick Iowa, though.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, DJ Burns kind of stole the show for March Madness. I'll tell you, I watched all three of their wins in the ACC tournament. They knocked off Duke, North Carolina, Virginia 3 nights in a row, and I thought for sure they were spent. Even though I've been cheering for them, I really thought that was such an emotional high. They haven't won the ACC tournament in so long. To be able to come back from that high and continue to ball out at a high level has been very, very impressive. So great take there from Jeremiah. Let's hear next from Edmund. Edmund, what do you expect to see in this game tonight? It's tied at the half. And what stood out to you the most from the weekend?
Well, I think LSU is going to end up winning the game probably for the same thing that you just said. It seems like LSU has this Caitlin's number, but it's tied right now. They're exchanging blows like a heavyweight fight. So it's not a foregone conclusion, but Angel is just she just winning the big girl draws out here. Like she can get a bucket anytime she wants. She can do whatever she needs anytime she needs to do it. So I think at the end of the game, she's gonna wear and tear on Iowa. As far as what I know about the weekend, the biggest takeaway I got from this is the NBA is trying to take the 7-footers out of the game and the centers out of the game, and everybody who's pretty much left has a big man. Hint, hint. You know, having big people still matters. So that's what Edie and DJ Burns, these guys. You're going to see. It feels like a '90s sort of like Patrick Ewing, type of thing happening, and it's just like old school basketball. You dump it down and let the big man go get a bucket. And I love it because I'm sick of seeing these half court threes. So that's what I'm taking away from it is this is the dawn of the big man coming back.
Yeah, great call on that. Donovan Clingham, his defense was dominant for UConn. So they're led by a big man. And I'll tell you, the guy that knocked UNC out, my pick, was Nelson, who's Alabama's big man. So the big man has been a big part of this game. And I'm starting to wonder, like even in the NBA, Jokic is there, Wemby is there, like Embiid won the MVP last year. That this whole small ball phase would be an interesting topic for us to go more into. I'm starting to think as I look back on it that it really was just Curry and those guys did it so good, and then everybody else tried to copycat them, and it hasn't necessarily worked out for anyone other than Golden State in terms of small ball titles. So, maybe this whole, it's kind of a misperception, and it really is, and always has been a big man's game, and we're kind of getting back to that.
Doesn't even work for them anymore. So,
right. Well, all right. Let's continue to go around the horn here. Let's hear next from Christian. Christian, what do you expect to see happen in tonight's game, and what caught your eye the most from over the weekend?
Yeah, I think for this game, I got LSU. I really do. I just like their vibe. I really do. I just think they have such great, like, they're so entertaining the way they are. Angel Reese, she's just like she's in your face constantly. I like that. Like they got that vibe that like the men do, and it's taken this long for that to be the case. So I mean, Caitlin's got it too. She's generational for sure. But I just think as an overall team, LSU is the ones to beat. I really, really want to see them in South Carolina. I really do, because the last time it was cool, man. That was madness. But that's what you need. And they've needed those eyes for a very, very long time. And it's missing. It's been missing from the women's game. And now it's there. So I think that, to me, I want that to happen. So hopefully they can steer the course and get the W.
Recap for those of us that didn't see that game, because
Yeah.
the last time wasn't there a fight? Like
Yeah.
it was
Hmm.
a battle, right? The last time
Yeah. Oh,
LSU.
yeah. Big time. It was crazy. Like they had like a 10-minute stoppage. I think even more than that even. And it was Fajay Johnson. She got shoved by that monster-sized girl from South Carolina. Oh my goodness. She just shoved her down hard. And they had everybody come in. Her brother, Fajay's brother, comes from the stands to push the girl barely, because he's way smaller than her. So it was just madness. They the whole, like, I think they kicked the entire bench out for both teams. So
Wow.
they all cleared, and it was like literally they finished the game 5-on-5. So it's like, man, when you got that kind of juice on something, like that's must see. Like you gotta get to that. So
Yeah,
I think for
yeah,
me, LSU, I definitely think they'd be ones. Yeah. And
yeah.
then as for like March Madness, I think, yeah, no, for like March Madness, like the whole thing, like I don't know. I'm just gonna be obvious here. I think UConn's the story, man. Like it's just not even funny. Like I have not seen this level of dominance in my time watching. Like this is another level. It's scary. I'm like, I love NC State. I watched the game yesterday. I was rooting for them to kind of take down the evil, Sith of Duke, kind of. But I just don't think, and I like Purdue. Edie's cool. He's a monster for sure. Bama's kind of like a little surprise in there, but they're there for a reason. But I don't know if anybody's gonna touch these guys. They might be walking to this with ease. In all honesty, that's just kind of how I've seen it. So
Yeah.
I got
Yeah, and I'm with you. I mean, they just look like they're on another level. And the best part of it to me is like if they just had the five best players, if this was like Shaq and Kobe teaming up again, that's just not fair. And that's not fun. If this was KD and Curry on the same team, like, but these UConn team, like, I don't know if any of those guys are going to play in the NBA. Yet they are dominating at another level without it being like five all-stars that are just way more talented than everybody. They're dominating like as a team. And even though I don't particularly like UConn, I'd like to see them go down. It's you got to respect what they're doing as a team. So good takes there from Christian. Great points about Angel Reese. She's just a blast to watch. I honestly haven't seen LSU myself since last year's tournament until tonight. And just seeing her out there in the first half, like making steals and taking it coast to coast and scoring, for a big man to be doing that. And she looks big and dominant in this game. And then you realize she's 6'3". South Carolina's got this 6'7" girl you were telling us about. Like,
Yeah, she's 6'7". I didn't even know she was 6'7". She's massive. I didn't know that, but I knew Angel was 6'3", and I thought that was big. But 6'7", that's
yeah.
scary.
All right. So let's go next to Alvin. Great to see you tonight. Tell us, Alvin, what do you expect to see happen tonight? And how's your bracket doing? What caught your eye the most over the weekend? Well, you're on mute still.
Hello? Y'all can
Yep.
hear me?
Yep.
All right, on my end, my bracket is busted already. The two champions, the two finals teams I had was Illinois and Houston, and they're out of there. I did not have a good tournament this season. With my women's bracket, I'm doing pretty decent. So I still got LSU defending champions going to the championship game, and I knew that this regional would be a difficult regional. If they can survive this, I believe they're given the character and the grit that they need to get over hump and three times a charm. And I think they could beat South Carolina, but they got a lot on their hands tonight. I'm a little scared that LSU may not be able to win this game if Angel Reese isn't fully healthy, because that changed the whole dynamic once she went out with that ankle injury. And even with her trying to fight through it, I'm hoping they can do something at halftime to get her ready. But LSU is dominating the boards. If they can continue to dominate boards and to just you're not going to stop Caitlin Clark from getting her threes, but they cannot allow the other young ladies to get off with theirs. If they can make that field goal percentage at the three go down and they continue to rebound, they should walk away with this game and move on to the Final Four. And everything is about South Carolina. My hat's off to them with Cordova at 6'7", their inside game, and Michaela Fulwiley. The problem that LSU has is you can see tonight, Haley Van Lith has a issue guarding guards that are much quicker than her. So she's going to have to – she's the type of player that has to see her shots go in order to defend, and we need you to defend before you see it go in. She has to do what she has to do, and she can prove that tonight because she's playing the player that told her to shut up.
I think we lost the connection there. Right as that was the mic drop moment, Alvin. There you're back. Now we're not hearing you though. But the last thing we heard was that she's playing the player that told her to shut up. So yeah, as I love hearing, people, we got our LSU fans and people from LSU here. I'll say the one thing that will worry me if LSU wins this game is like you're all already talking about them playing South Carolina, and they still got to go through UConn or USC. And if they're looking ahead past those teams at all, they could easily get knocked off because those are some quality teams. They've really set this up like a gauntlet for LSU to get back to the finals. And because I've been impressed. I've watched UConn a little bit this women's this tournament, and I haven't seen USC yet, but Juju is getting a lot of buzz there. Their star freshman. All right, let's go next to Callie. Callie, tell us, what do you expect to see happen in tonight's game? And what was the number one thing that caught your eye from this past weekend that we haven't covered yet?
Well, from this past weekend, so about that 6'7" player, from South Carolina, she just declared for the draft. And I predicted that. So I'm glad. Camila Cordoso, shout out to South Carolina, shout out to Coach Don Staley. That's something that like stood out for me. And then I was surprised that Duke, I thought those last few seconds, I really thought Houston was gonna come back. But nah, in the end, Duke got it. But hey, next year for Houston. And tonight's game, I got LSU Tigers. I respect Coach Kim Mulkey. Don't get me wrong. I respect Caitlin Clark and Iowa's coach too, but I'm going with LSU. Angel Reese, I know she's gonna come back from that ankle, and I feel like she got the Mamba in her. Like she like the Mamba for LSU, so she gonna like play even if she has a little twisted ankle. So I got my money on LSU tonight, boys.
Yeah, she already looked fine when she came back in. She scored.
Yeah.
It looked, maybe a little bit of a limp, but didn't seem to be impacting her play at all. So I don't think that'll be a factor at all. It's interesting you brought up Duke and Houston game. And we're going to hear next from David from Houston. But yeah, I mean, that I think if Jamal Shed didn't get hurt, Houston would have won that game. And I think John Shire should be on the hot seat, really. I mean, he's to lose to State twice in both tournaments. That's not the Duke way. That's not. We'll circle back to Edmund, who lives in the Raleigh area, to see what he's hearing. But that's not acceptable in the Duke world to their standards. And like the only game he really won was the Houston game, and that's only because of the injury. So I'm wondering, what this means as far as Duke being at the top, and if they don't look to make a coaching change, or at least start calling for it. All right, let's hear next from David. David, what do you expect to see in tonight's game, and what caught your eye the most from this past weekend?
Yeah, so I like the LSU +2. Kim Mulkey's right there next to Pat Summitt as one of the greatest coaches in women's college basketball. And then as far as LSU versus Iowa, I mean, can we name a player outside of Caitlin Clark that plays for Iowa? LSU's got more of a team around them. It's not just Angel Reese. So I like LSU. As far as this weekend, the Elite Eight game, man, those whistles were awful. Edey had 0 fouls called on him. The Purdue shot 33 free throws. Tennessee shot 11. I thought it was either they don't know how to referee with Edey or there was a strong bias, but those whistles were terrible. And it just so happened to be as Tennessee was about to run them off the floor that they started getting whistle happy. I thought for sure Tennessee should have won that game. But when the going got tough, they started playing right into Purdue's hands. They shot a bunch of mid-range shots that weren't going to go in. You couldn't take it to the basket because that's Edey's manning the center there. But I thought the refs were terrible in that game. If you looked at Edey, funny, they were blowing that whistle quick.
I don't know if I agree with that, but I appreciate your take on it. I think maybe there was one or two plays that could have been fouls, but overall, I feel like this whole tournament, the refs have been letting people bang and play, and the ball goes inside to Edey a lot. So anytime you've got the inside presence, you're going to get more calls. It's just because of how you're playing the game. Tennessee, was scoring. They were shooting, threes and mid-range jumpers. They were pulling up. They weren't trying to take it at them, which was smart, right? We saw what happened in Illinois when they tried to go right at the big guy, and they weren't getting the calls. I was screaming for fouls in that game. Like, what is going on here? Like, they just weren't calling anything in that game either. And that just seems to be, the tone of how they're officiating the big guys.
So yes and no with that. It's just with a game that physical. I mean, Edey's been throwing guys around the entire tournament, which is fine. If you're not going to call that against him, don't call it against the other team. And this one was very. I mean, how often do you see a game that physical where your center gets 0 fouls and he's the one touching the ball the entire game? I mean, like I said, maybe they just don't know how to call a big man his size. And I'm very excited to see. I keep calling him Davis, Burns Jr. versus Edey. That's going to be a fun matchup. But even Burns had 2-3 fouls in the first half of the Duke game.
Yeah, Burns. You're right. He had 2 quick fouls in that game, and Burns versus Edey. I think that's the matchup that we all want to see. I don't know what's going to happen with that. All right, let's hear next from Cam. Cam, what do you expect to see happen in tonight's game? We're just back underway here in the third quarter, and what caught your eye the most from over the weekend that we haven't covered?
Yeah, so what caught my eye the most over the weekend was someone mentioned it earlier. UConn's dominance, man. They've been dominant since last year. They've won all their tournament games by double digits. They're running it back this year and doing the same exact thing. And it was impressive watching them go on a 30-0 run in that game versus Illinois. Illinois had the number 2 rated offense, and they shut them down for almost an hour. 0 points. So that's pretty impressive. And then this game right here, it's the highest scoring first half in the whole tournament, 45-45. These girls are getting buckets. Okay. I'm curious to see how Iowa's going to adjust in the second half. Are they going to stick with they like to run a lot of zone. Are they going to stick with that? Because Angel Reese is tearing the zone apart right now. She's either kicking it out to her shooters, Haley Van Leith. I'm interested in watching her play in this game too. She's a transfer from Louisville and one of the top recruits in women's basketball. And then I'm curious to see LSU's defense. I thought they played terrible defense on Caitlin Clark. We all know she's the best shooter in women's basketball. What are you doing going underneath screens? Why would you do that? And they've done it like 3 or 4 times now. So you just got to go over the top of that screen, get a hand in her face. But yeah, I expect a high scoring game, and everyone's going with LSU. I'm going with Iowa. I'm gonna be the guy that I never count Curry out, I think Caitlin Clark is the Curry of women's basketball right now, so I ain't gonna count her out. Get her the ball and see if she can heat up in the second half.
Yeah, it's I was thinking that right before we came on about what the score. I'm like, this is about how many points NC State versus Duke had the whole game. And these girls got it in the first half here. That was some bully ball there. And watching that UConn Illinois game was not fun either. And like this is a fun, entertaining game to watch tonight with the women playing at this high level. I feel like if Caitlin Clark, if they're going to win this game, she needs to go kind of like you said, Curry. I would say more Kobe. She needs to just not pass. Every time she has 4 turnovers already in the first half. Boom, there she goes draining a 3. She to me is doesn't want to get criticized for shooting all the time, but at this point, she's just going to have to do it. The rest of her team just isn't making shots enough. I think they have an injury, right? Isn't one of their main players not their starters from the year?
Yeah, what was up with I wanted to see what happened to Angel Reese. You're telling me all those cameras, she probably tripped over a cameraman and we can't get a good angle of how she turned her ankle or anything?
Yeah, they never did show us exactly what happened there because it looked like she landed clean. She went in for the block on Caitlin Clark, and then something happened as she was kind of falling into the crowd there for that. So, all right. Well, so looking ahead to the Final Four this weekend, so we're all going to keep one eye on this game. Obviously, we've all got it on our TV, and we'll be taking takes on this game again right before we go into the fourth quarter. But let's also look ahead to this weekend's games. Edmund, what do you think? DJ Burns versus Zach Edney. What's going to happen in that matchup in that game?
Well, I think they're pretty much going to cancel each other out. It's going to be a back and forth battle, uh, basically amongst them. Just exchanging buckets. So it's really going to come down to the people around them to see what actually transpires with that. But you're talking a legit 7'4" versus somebody 6'9", but then again, DJ Burns is like a wide body. So it just really depends on how they move the whistle. I just it's really hard. Somebody mentioned it here, it's really hard to gauge um Edie and how to judge a big man, but it's even harder for DJ Burns because a lot of times it looked like he's bullhorning people when he's down low. In actuality, he's just making a basketball move. So it's like, so it's going to be very interesting how they decide to blow the whistles when, the big men are exchanging, but I hope they let the big men play. And I said this probably my first time I was here. I'm secretly rooting for NC State because it's been 40 years. So I won't get off topic. I still don't have them wing the whole thing, but do not be surprised if NC State beats Purdue.
Yeah. All right. Let's use the Zoom raise of hand if anybody else wants to give a take on this matchup. Because I think this is going to be the key matchup to that game is DJ Burns versus Zach Edney and the Purdue versus NC State. Does anyone else want to chime in on that? I've got quite a bit to say, but don't want to steal anyone's thunder. As you watch Burns's game, he gets the ball often kind of on the wing outside of the paint and starts to dribble, backing his man down. And then he's so quick with his spin. He's able to spin and just hit those floaters. And I don't think that I've never seen Zach Edey like body up against somebody. So I don't think that Edey is going to, that's going to work. And Edey's long enough that, you can't just shoot a little mid-range jumper because Burns can hit that as well. So I don't think that Burns is going to be effective against Edey. And that's really Burns, in my view of Burns. He doesn't offensive rebound a ton. He lives on the post up, and he kills you if you double team. If you double team, he's such a great passer. They're not going to need to double team. Like Edie's just going to stand there in the paint, at the edge of the paint, in my opinion, and wait for Burns to kind of come into him. And just kind of stand there and not foul, try to just be straight up and contest Burns' shot. So I think Burns will be effectively neutralized. Now that doesn't mean that State's going to lose the game, because I think State has better shot makers. I look at these two teams, and it's, to me, Purdue is a team built around Edie. Like, it's Edie and a bunch of role players, in my opinion. And NC State is different. Like, DJ Horn can get hot. He doesn't take good shots. Those are bad shots, but he makes them. Like, in the second half, he just got hot and was making those shots. And that's like, you're not going to, the guy's making those kind of shots, you're not going to stop him. And he doesn't need Burns. Like, he can score on his own. And some of these other guys on State have stepped up throughout the tournament as well. Christian, what's your take on the Zach Edey and Burns matchup?
Yeah, I think when you look at Edie, he's a throwback, but so is Burns. So it's really like an old school kind of vibe with those two. The thing I kind of noticed with Burns is, like you said, he's not like the most active rebounder. He gets them kind of just by like being built like a refrigerator, basically. But also kind of, he does look like a touch bit of like a defensive liability. They were kind of like isolating him kind of underneath the basket and attacking him, and that's why those fouls kind of piling up on him there. I think it's going to be another situation. They're going to do a lot of post play, which is actually kind of refreshingly different when you think about how the game's played now. It's totally like just threes. Let's get to the half court. Someone said that logo shooting, which is exciting, but like also this is like a throwback, which you can actually really appreciate. So I really do think they do, like you said, play through Edie on the post. There's going to be a lot of that. I think that Burns is going to get into some of that foul trouble again. So he might be kind of in and out. I think this is going to be a really big Zach Edey game. So I do kind of lean a little bit towards Purdue just because it kind of makes sense 1v1. You get that matchup. But NC State is really fun, and I do kind of want them to get there. But I just don't know if they have the firepower really to match, especially if they did get to UConn. I don't know if anyone has the firepower UConn has right now.
Well, we'll leave UConn out of it for now. Let's just focus in on this. So then, kind of, do you think Burns will be able to score with Edey? Will Burns be effective and be able to score?
I think, I don't know. That's a tough one because I don't think that he's never seen nothing like that. But who does have a Zach Edey? Like he's a unicorn in that sense of like the old school way, kind of come into 2024. So I don't know if he's gonna have the most effective game. Like his footwork is beautiful. It really is. Like he's got some excellent footwork. Like it's next level stuff. But Zach Edey's 7'4", and he said it, and he's 6'9". That's gonna be a tough that's gonna be a tough matchup. I mean, and they do tend to like double him up when he does get down there. They bring that extra help, and he's a great passer too. And that's what he said before and everything. But I don't think it's going to be a DJ Burns night, honestly.
Good take there. Iowa's holding the lead in our game here. It's 58-52. Let's hear next from Jeremiah on the NC State Purdue matchup. What do you expect to see there? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I couldn't get it unmuted. I read an interesting article today. I mentioned it in the chat that certain NFL execs are looking to talk to Burns about playing tackle in the league. I just want to get everyone's thoughts on that. I mean, I know he's a big boy, seems to have great footwork, but do we think without playing that he'd be able to do something like that?
Yeah, good. Let's put that in the YouTube chat. Let's have everyone respond over in the YouTube chat. Just give us a yes or a no if you think that Burns could play in the NFL. He's got the size, right? Could he tackle or tight end maybe? I've seen like memes that say that, but I thought it was all a joke. I didn't know that anybody was really saying that. I don't think he'll play in the NBA, so why not, right? Why not? Let's hop over to our YouTube chat and just see what the listeners are saying there on this as well. So we got some no's here. I'm gonna put why not for this. So let's get in hear from everyone on that. Cameron, what do you think is going to happen with this Zach Edey DJ Burns matchup?
I think Purdue is on a vengeance, right? This tournament run. If we have to talk about the most second dominant team this tournament, it's been Purdue. They've won all their games in double digits besides that Tennessee game. But they won that Tennessee game, right? Tennessee was a really good team. They're impressive, coming out of the tough SEC conference this year. But I think Purdue will win, and also no 11 seed. The lowest seed to ever make the championship game is an 8 seed, right? With UConn, Kentucky, I think North Carolina, and there's one more. I think Villanova is the other team. There might be a couple more, but 8 seeds the lowest that's ever made it. I love this run though from NC State. It's been awesome. Like they were ranked number 10 in the ACC in their tournament and won out. They won the ACC and they're on a 10-game winning streak to get where they're at right now. I thought a different 11 seed was going to do the same thing in Oregon, but it was NC State. They've been the Cinderella team this year. They've been really good. But I think just like Loyola, when they were that 11 seed, it all comes to an end here in the Final Four. It'll probably be a really good game, but I think Purdue will move on into the championship game.
Yeah, Purdue, they seem unstoppable, right? No one is going to be able to slow Edey down. He has simple little hooks. He's not like making a ton of post moves. He's just taller than everybody, and he's just getting boards, right? Until he runs into Donovan Clingham, I don't think anybody's going to slow down Purdue. And I think Burns can be neutralized by Edey. If DJ Horn and some of these other players can get hot, that could keep State in the game and give them a chance. But I don't see Purdue getting slowed down at all, in my opinion. State does have quite a few big men, so I'm not really worried about foul trouble. And I think, to me, as I watch Edey's game in this tournament, I didn't watch a lot of him in the Big Ten. I mostly watched a lot of ACC and SEC going into the season. But as I watch Edey's game, like the fouls on him are when people panic. They're like, oh, he's about to flush it. And you got to just let him flush those and not take that foul. This isn't the NBA where you get 6 fouls and you can, Charles Oakley people. You got to just let him score and stay in the game. He's not making a lot of post moves or head fakes to draw fouls. He's just dunking. And if you just control your body and don't foul, you don't need to foul. And State has 3 effective big men, right? This guy Middlebrooks is playing good off the bench. Diarra is leading them in rebounding. Any of those 3 guys could guard Burns. Could guard Edney. I don't think any of them will be particularly effective, but they're all equally bigs that could, box him out to some degree. And so if Horn and some of these other guys can get hot, they can stay in it. One thing that was killing me in the State game was Diarra jacking up threes. Like he does not need to have the green light. This guy is like your hustle guy, your rebounder. I think he made his first 3, and then it's the worst thing you want to have happen, right? And he jacked up like 3 or 4 more and missed all of them. They don't need that at all. So Iowa's up 9 now, looking like they're in command of this game. David, I wanted to get your take on LSU's coach, Kim Mulkey, because, being a Texas guy, I'm sure you're kind of saw her through her Baylor days. I honestly never heard of her till last year. And I knew Baylor was good. That was Brittany Griner. I didn't know the coaching staff had really that much to do with that. Give us, you mentioned her as an all-timer and someone who should be a household name. Clearly she is after last year's championship. But give us some more take on her. Why did she leave Baylor and go to LSU? And what's going on with this whole Washington Post scandal with her, David? Do you have any insights into all of that?
Yeah, so with Baylor, I don't follow Baylor or women's college basketball as closely, but I do know a little bit about Kim Mulkey. I mean, she's got 4 championships, 3 at Baylor, and then obviously the one she won at LSU last year. And so it wasn't all just Brittany Griner. Yeah, Brittany Griner brought a lot of attention because of how dominant and how big she was. But no, she's got championships without Griner. As far as her leaving for LSU, she's originally from Louisiana. So my understanding was it was Baylor wasn't offering the same kind of money that Louisiana was offering, and she just wanted to be closer to family. As far as all the stuff coming out with the Washington Post, if I read correctly, because there's a few different things that I've been reading, some stuff about LSU painting LSU in a negative light, and then Kim Mulkey being kind of homophobic and playing mind games with the women. I'm not shocked if you know how some of the women from the South are. It's not shocking to hear that. I don't, everybody has their own personal beliefs. I don't think you should, treat your players, if anything, the people that are supposed to win you the basketball games and the reason you're getting paid so much. I don't think you should treat them so poorly. But I mean, we hear stories about how Bill Belichick and Nick Saban were kind of like that as well to a degree, not necessarily with homophobia and whatnot. But yeah, my understanding is it's no shock that these things are coming out. It's always kind of been, she's been kind of crazy, kind of one of those. I try not to talk about it, but one of those hardcore, vote for a certain presidential candidate, hardcore that. So it's not a surprise.
Interesting. Yeah, everything traces back to politics, perhaps. Alvin, do you have a take on Kim Mulkey?
Yeah, have you ever had the opportunity to be around Kim Mulkey? I had an opportunity to be in the room with her. She was a speaker, keynote speaker, because of a little background. I'm a physical education teacher and SPED teacher, and she was our keynote speaker. And she's the type of person that has that dynamic personality that would capture a room. You immediately know who she is when she walks in the room. And I've seen a lot of coaches and had the opportunity, because I coach basketball, I've had the opportunity to really be in the room with some great coaches. And she is by far, if you want to imagine, Pat Summitt would be one. She would be 1A. She is that great of a player. She could actually coach men's basketball at a very high level because of the fact that she's so motivational and she can do the X's and O's too. You would want to run through a wall for her. As far as, I don't have a problem with anyone doing an article. My thing is the timing of the article. Why now? All this information was available last year when they made their run. It was available years before. Why now release this at a key time when she's trying to get her kids focused on defending their championship run? The other thing is a lot of people didn't know who she was, but some of that is because Baylor was always getting knocked out when they were climbing the mountain by Connecticut. All those great Connecticut and Gino Yariema and Pat Summitt, in all those years, she had to suffer through all those losses to figure out the formula for her kids to win. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen her as a player, but Van Lith wears her hair the same way that Mulkey wore hers. And you're talking about a dynamic player under 5'7". She was a hell of a point guard. She played with Robin Roberts, who everybody knows from Good Morning America. Those Louisiana Tech teams, as a freshman, she led them to a national championship. She is one heck of a player, and she's one heck of a coach.
Yeah, great take. I love getting these perspectives from different places here. And it looks like they've got a play under review right now. Iowa in command, though, up 13. What's happening in this game? Does anybody have a take? How's Iowa taking control of this game here?
I don't think
Yeah,
Angel looks
Angel
right.
Reese has gotten completely cold.
Yeah.
She's
hmm We're
Angel
saying
Reese.
the same thing at the same time.
oh yeah, go ahead. Dude, say what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was saying that ever since that injury, she's not as active, but we're not gonna excuse her. But it's you can just tell something's not right. She's kind of like favoring whatever it is that she hurt. Because I have it, I'm muted, so I don't know what she hurt, but you can tell she's not running full speed, but she's trying to like gut it out. But she by the time she guts it out, they're gonna lose. So it's going to be one of those things where either somebody else in the team is going to have to step up, or this might be CC's shining moment. Go
Yeah,
for it,
I
Ken.
mean they're supposed to be the better team. They're not supposed to be a one-man team. There she goes, hobbling down the court there, shooting a layup. You know, it should be inspiring that she's out there, not deflating to the rest of this team.
This is totally in the game, but I think the way they did the brackets. I just having this is just a bit early. I would have loved to see this have been the championship game or something to that effect. But it kind of reminds me of the Magic Bird back in the day, and Juju kind of has this like Jordan-esque type of thing about her, where she she may end up being like the best of the three. So, but you're not gonna know it yet because they're so focused on CC and Reese. So right now, yeah, I'm just watching the game. It just something doesn't look right with Angel, and like God bless her, she's trying to gut it out, but you know when her swag is on 1,000, when she's out there playing and she's not joking around, you can just tell something's not right. So well, it is what it is, and we also have to correlate that with the men's game is when we're saying like DJ Burns, may not be able to guard Edie. We talking one game. He ain't got to guard him in a 7-game series. He only got to guard him one game, get him in foul trouble. He's wide body, and he can do that for one game.
But she's not guarding
So
her, right?
Yeah.
right. So I think we got to keep in mind when we're dealing
They
with these
got full
tourneys
guarding.
that you just gotta have some heart for a certain amount of time and then come up with a strategy, and it's not as cut and dry as we think, especially since you hate UConn so much, Greg.
All right, Alvin, what are you seeing happening in this game with LSU tonight?
Well, I see that at Mulkey. So the biggest thing that was hurting them, Iowa went on the run because Van Lith cannot guard Caitlin Clark. She gets down too low and she has her hands down where she came in. You cannot play Caitlin Clark with hands down. You got to put a hand up and you got to eat up space. I would rather her get up into her and force her to be a driver than give her space, because we know she shoots 1,000 shots from each position a day. Like that's her thing. Van Lith cannot guard her. So I like the switch of putting Poa on her. I would personally like to have Flage guarding her because she's more athletic and she's long. But right now you can see LSU going on a run because of the fact of the adjustment of putting Poa on Clark and making her have to make decisions with passes. Now they're not doing a good transition because when she gets that ball out and they happen to get a rebound, she's able to get that outlet pass and is beating LSU back in
Yeah,
transition.
you can't give up a layup like that like that's just inexcusable to not get back on D. Everyone's got to sprint back. Cameron, what are you seeing happening in this game?
Yeah, I'm seeing, it's between the two stars, right? One staying hot. I want to say she's getting hot, but Caitlin Clark had 19 points in the first half. She's on pace to go for 40 this game. And then Reese, she just got her first bucket right there, but she started 6 of 8 and then missed her next 9 shots. And also LSU they just scored, but that was their third bucket this whole quarter. And Caitlin Clark, she's playing phenomenal right now. It's not just Van Leet that can't guard her. No one can guard her. Poa can't guard her either. She crossed her up twice in one possession in the first quarter.
Oh.
And then she's been going underneath her screens too. Clark is shooting, getting the shot she wants, and she's also getting her teammates involved. It's her threat of shooting is pulling the defenders up and she's able to hit the cutting defenders. So Iowa's Clark is playing great, and the teammates are feeding off that energy. They're playing great as a team right now, shooting almost 60% this quarter. So
Yeah, this
that's what
point
I'm
guard
seeing.
for
I'm seeing one
LSU is
team that's
killing them. She just
I'm
had
seeing
another
one team
bad
that's hot
turnover.
and one team that just got cold. But LSU is starting to crawl back a little bit.
Yeah, let's hope so. We got a fourth quarter to go here. I love
It,
how they have four quarters and
no, saying the end of the. I'm sorry. Yeah.
yeah, this will be the end
No,
of the third.
no, I'm saying the end of the second quarter, Angel was running all around and just getting a bunch of steals and going like coast to coast. She's like just jogging down the court now. Like, so you can tell there's like obviously a difference in her energy. And like you said, LSU's point guard is killing them right now. You know, she can't guard CC. She's turning the ball over. Bottom line, somebody else in LSU has to step up. This otherwise we probably seeing the outcome real time.
Yeah. Yeah, Cal, good to see you back on. What are you seeing happening in this game?
Sorry. Sorry, I'm like watching the game at the same time. My apologies, y'all. Well, right now I'm seeing Kim Mulkey. She's all like, I can tell she's like, get your head in the game right now. But I don't know. I see LSU coming back. I think they're gonna come back. You know, it's gonna be a close one. I don't think it's over yet. It's still third quarter, okay? So we'll see. We'll see. But Kim Mulkey's like, get your ass in the game right now. So I got some hope. I got some hope.
Yeah, I often wonder, like, if a player, she just, she's been their point guard all year, right? So it's not like she can't play. She just seems like she's in over her head in the moment here. And then having somebody yelling at you to put your head back in the game, we'll see if that works. Or I don't know if they have anybody else they can put in or but yeah, this is their time to shine. This will be a great coaching moment, a great win for this team if they can pull this comeback on Caitlin Clark here. Um, so I'm excited that we're going to get to see this finish. Yeah, I like the women's game. It has the four quarters. I think doesn't the women's game have where you advance the ball and the timeouts as well, similar to the NBA? I don't know if anybody can confirm that or not, but I'm pretty sure I saw them doing that in some of these games. It just seems like it's more NBA style rules and more suited to this. Anybody want to give me a take on Alabama? Think that they have a chance? What would have to fall into place for Alabama to beat UConn? Does anybody see that happening? This is March Madness. Nobody wants to take a take on that. I mean, nobody, UNC was expected to roll, and Alabama took them down. What do you think, Cam?
Yeah, I just think that how Creighton was able to beat them by 20 points back, I think it was in January, was their perimeter shooting team. And they shot lights out that game, right? Creighton shot, I think, 70% from three. It was a mind-boggling stat. And that's what it's going to have to take for Alabama to beat UConn. They're a perimeter shooting team. They're known for being a three-point shooting team, especially in previous teams running in the or going in the tournament in the past, right? This year is a little more defensive minded, but still, I think they need to get hot on the 3-point shot to try and upset UConn. Otherwise, UConn is just going to run away with it.
Yeah, I mean, they're a great 3-point shooting team. They got a lot of kids that can make shots on that team. The bigs can step out and shoot threes. If anybody's gonna give UConn a run for their money, they seem like they're built for it. They got physical defense, gun style of play, and they got the bigs to be able to bang with them in there. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It would be a huge upset, but that's what often happens in March Madness. It's very hard to repeat. The odds in history is still against UConn repeating.
Yeah,
It's interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, UConn's just no. I can't see UConn losing. They've just been so dominant all year. But the thing with Alabama and they've had, except for maybe the Grand Canyon game, they were always down at one point in time. So the thing that would scare me if I'm cheering for UConn is if it becomes a close game, Alabama, that's not a team I would bet against if it's a 4 or 5 point game. Because even that UNC game, I if UNC plays that just a little bit differently, they took a few bad shots at the end. They would have won. Even Clemson, they were down 12 against Clemson, and they came back to put it away. So if it gets tight there, I could see Bama pulling the upset, but I don't think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, I mean, UConn, they don't have the experience of a close game. Even going back to last year's tournaments, they've won every game by double figures. So they don't have that clutch experience. Also, like the first half of the Illinois game, they were not shooting well at all. That Illinois could have been, in that game if they weren't trying to go right at Klingham. If they were shooting threes or shooting pull-up jumpers instead, they could have been in that game, and that could have looked a lot differently. Instead, they were down and then just kept trying to go right at Klingham, and they got slaughtered. All right, so our game is back underway here for the fourth quarter. Let's check in on the box score and just see what's happening as we are watching this. Let's see. I think we have it up here. And also let's check in on our YouTube chat. Yeah, LSU is staying right in it. We're going to hop over to ESPN and pull up the game cast. We'll follow along on the game cast here. Let's see. Here we go. Wonder what the ratings for this game are going to be. This will be really interesting made for TV moment here. Yeah, Clark has 31 already. And Angel Reese, 7 of 19.
Callie already called it. I mean, LSU still trying to hang in there, and they're not just gonna just let them roll over them, even if Angel's not 100%. So we're talking a 6 point game with 8:55 to go. So still anybody's game.
Ooh, now Angel just popped her contact back in. That happened to me tonight. I was rubbing my eye and took out my contact. Yeah, to me the pressure is on Caitlin Clark's teammates. Like they're the ones that everyone says can't do it, can't make the big shot, are going to let her down, and they're the ones that maybe aren't as mentally tough. It's this LSU team against Caitlin Clark. Oof, that's forcing up a bad shot there.
It's prize fight style right now, where it seems like LSU is catching up, and then Iowa will just throw in a bucket and kind of like keep the lead. So LSU's gonna have to get some stops.
Yeah, Iowa seems to be getting layups, and LSU seems to have to work really hard. Here's a nice post up. You need to get more of that.
And also, too, they look like they made an adjustment, because in the first half, Angel was just getting whatever she wanted, and they were playing her 1-on-1. Now, like in the second half, they're double and triple teaming her, and I mean, that's Captain Obvious. You should have been doing that anyway, but they definitely weren't doing it in the first half. So, that seems to be a good adjustment. Not letting her just go 1-on-1 with.
What's this shot? Van Lith doesn't even. She's got to get there, man. She's got to get there. Yeah, it was closer than I thought it was. Caitlin doesn't need much space.
There you go.
Yeah, but you got to get some stops.
Get to the line. Yeah, they're down 10.
You called it, Alvin. I mean, you can't stop CC, but if you're gonna just like sit there and watch her shoot, that's 3 point defense 101. Put a hand up and pray. You don't sit there and watch. Like, you're
I
gonna
thought
lose.
they were doing the same thing in the first quarter. They were going underneath screens, which is, I mean, when you play against shooters, that's the number one thing you don't do. You don't go underneath the screen and let them shoot, right? I mean, for them, that's high percentage shots. That's a layup to them.
Caitlin Clark is in Van Lift's head. She left Louisville because of Caitlin Clark to come to LSU, and now she has an opportunity to actually do something about it, and she's still playing like I don't get this.
Well, I mean, she is what she is at this point, right? She's just not at the same level as most of
Yeah.
the players on this court.
She's hit 8 threes this game at 50%. That's pretty impressive.
Hmm.
And they're not doing anything that they didn't do last year. The only difference is you don't have those two seniors who knocked down those threes for LSU to help them win that game and go on the run to beat them by 20.
Yeah, the point guard for LSU last year just totally was in control of that game. I think she must have graduated. What are they gonna do here? Deep three. Oh, they got out hustle. Boards will kill you.
Well, Johnson's second right now in scoring for LSU. So I mean, I think what you have to ask yourself is, who else can go get a bucket if Angel can't go do it right now? And Iowa has a big enough cushion. If they're going to play this back and forth. Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
oh Lord, that would have
Angel's gonna have to score.
been that would have been bad. That three. So
Oh,
somebody at LSU, that has to decide that they want to put the ball in the hole.
now they're just giving up layups. Layup off an inbounds play. That's horrible. Another layup. Oh, she blocked that one. I wonder if sometimes we're on a delay here. I think I saw Caitlin Clark is top three all time in assists now for the women's game, not just scoring. Get up on her, get up on her.
Yeah, that the next game on after this will be pretty good too. UConn and USC. Juju Watkins has got some range too. She's been an impressive player for the Pac-12
Yeah,
all
the
year
freshman
long.
might
I
turn out to
like
be.
even Paige Beckers even more. She's like a Steve Nash 2.0. She can dime the ball and get her teammates involved. And she's also got a really good sidekick with her and Elijah Edwards. So UConn, I actually want UConn to make a run this year and get into the championship game because it'd be pretty cool. In Division 2, Minnesota State, their men's and women's won the basketball championship, and the men's, I believe, won on a buzzer beater. And then UConn, you got their women's team here in the tournament, and the men's team dominating the men's side of things. So if it could happen D1 and D2, that'd be pretty special. And
Oh,
then Alabama, their fans must be all hyped because they made the college football Final Four and the basketball Final Four. So,
I was winning on the boards here too. They're getting offensive rebounds. LSU's one shot and out. That's where I expected LSU to be able to catch up. Rebounds and defense hasn't worked out so far.
She just got her own rebound. I mean, it's just like I don't know if LSU's tired or what. It's
Oh gosh, step back three.
yeah. So I mean, I think
yeah,
I
Iowa
think
had the best player on the floor today. That's for sure.
we still got 5 minutes, but it somebody gotta get a stop. As soon as I say that, she buries like a blindfolded three.
Yeah, Angel Reese is playing pretty good. 16 and 16.
I do believe she had like 12 of those in the first half. So that just goes to show whatever went on with that injury, which I still don't know, um, is affecting her more than she's letting on. She's trying to gut it out, but
I don't know what's going on.
This
Yeah,
may
she was
not be
calling
her
for the
night
ball.
because Cece's not
Teammates
having it.
wouldn't even give it to her.
Yeah, right. Yes, yeah. Cece got that look on her face like not tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting in this day and age with NIL and the transfer portal and these coaching kids hard is supposed to be on its way out. But I think we're seeing the teams that are in it at the end are the coaches that do coach their kids hard. And those are the teams that are winning. I mean, that's what wins it still. And I wonder if that'll start to fall back into line.
Alvin, you're the coach, but I kind of feel like, when the way to stop teams like Iowa from doing all this ball movement is to punch them in the face. I know the girls don't do that, but I mean, just in general, like get a little bit more physical because they're just coming down the floor and doing all this flair. Like physicality stops the flair. So LSU doesn't want to do that, and that'll be their downfall most likely.
Yeah, I mean, get some layups inside, post it in. You can be physical without having to be violent. Just pound it inside and get everybody crashing the boards. They're getting beat on the rebounds, giving up.
That's what I mean by punching the mouth is just like, put a body on somebody. If Kaylin has 4,500 points already, I'm not letting her take a two in the lane. There's no way. Like it's like, yeah, just being a former basketball player, I've seen enough. Like, do something physical to let her know I'm here, because otherwise, you're not going to be able to get into this lead. Let her make some free throws. So
she's probably gonna hit a logo 3 for her 10th 3. She likes to do that, put a stamp on things with those deep shots. She's got 9 of 18 right now. That's pretty good.
So what are we expecting if this plays out? At the end of the last game, it was the famous trash talking right gesture for the ring. Are we going to get something, some sort of gesture or something from Caitlin Clark at the end here?
I
I
hope
think
so.
she's a class act.
I thought she's a world famous trash talker.
No, she's not a class act. Let's not pretend she's a class act. Her own fault I had to get on her. She is definitely not a class act. And to me, it don't matter who wins this game. South Carolina's gonna mollywop whoever comes their way.
Well, they beat South Carolina last year in the tournament, Caitlin Clark. So they knock them off. That's how they got to the championship.
South Carolina's on a revenge tour. They didn't have Michaela Fulwiley last year at the point guard. She is a hell of a point guard, and she's not gonna let Caitlin just do whatever she wants to. Because one thing I find is a weakness in her game. While I like Juju better, Caitlin Clark has no mid-range game whatsoever. None. Either it's going to the rack or she's pulling that dribble if she can't get the three, relocating, but she does not shoot the mid-range jumper.
Well, that might be by design. I mean, the math says you're not supposed to shoot mid rounds. You want either layups or threes, right? That's what analytics says wins. Oh man, now they got this kid hitting the shot.
You say that the mid-range shot's the worst shot in basketball, unless you're DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, yeah. Or I guess that's Juju's game at USC. For some players, that's their game. But if you can make threes, you should take threes. Give her an and one there. Come on. All right, down 11 here. I mean, I think Caitlin Clark, is trash talker, but that's part of the game. I don't think there's anything not classy about that. I thought she handled the whole Angel Reese thing really well last year, and just took it. Said they beat us, and she was having fun with it. You want that in the game. What happened here? Did they call a foul?
Also, Angel had an interview this week, and this is not verbatim, but something she said to the degree of, contrary to popular belief, I don't hate this girl. and it's literally just competition, and so she wanted to clear that up because they just make such a big deal about this rivalry. Like, look, we're just competing, so
Oh my gosh.
and that's what it is. So
Yeah, Angel Reese is one of the top competitors in women's sports. She's got like that fire, right? Brings that fire, intensity, that drive to win to a team. You need that, especially good if your leader brings that kind of energy.
They finally got to stop LSU. They force her into a really deep contested three. And now, did they just turn it over?
and also, if you ever played any sports in your life, if you're not down on that court, you don't know what's being said. So you don't know what your opponent said to you 5 seconds ago when they were up, as opposed to the end of the game when you won. So you automatically just go into a mode where it's just like, what was that? 2 minutes ago. So it's just
LSU's
competitive.
got their chances. They stopped them again here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They got a chance. It's still 3 minutes. It's still it can go either way. You see, I was slowing it up now because they're trying to hold on to the lead.
Oh,
They're trying to cushion this lead now.
Doesn't matter if you can't make a bucket.
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
They can't even get off a shot. They're turning it over. They can't get the ball into the post.
Isn't Van Lift supposed to be a shooter? Because Caitlin Clark is not even guarding her, and she's not even looking to take the shot.
Well, this Iowa team that supposedly plays no defense is answering the call. Oh, and now Angel Reese missing free throws. That's it. So many missed free throws in this March Madness. There almost always is in college hoops, I guess, but I couldn't believe how many missed free throws there were. Honestly, if Roach had made a few free throws, Duke was almost in that game coming back at the end, but he was missing free throws. Burns was hitting his free throws. Like, so many games missed free throws. And another freaking layup. Wow. Yeah, I like seeing the Iowa role players scoring.
Walk the dog time. I don't know. Play the foul game or something.
Yeah, I mean, do they have anybody that can shoot threes on LSU? They need a three.
And that's the problem in this game. Would you believe it if I told you that LSU is
Oh my
dominating
gosh.
them 3-1 on the boards in every category is equal except the 3-point line?
They're getting beat on the boards in this fourth quarter here. And Van Lith just pulled up for a two with nobody down there, mid-range two. Nobody even down there.
Chucking them at this point.
Yeah, but at least take a three then. All right. Down 10, 2 minutes to go. Hey, if Texas A&M could do it, anything is possible. That's probably the greatest moment of this tournament for me. Greatest, that game. I can't believe that they didn't carry that momentum forward and win that game, but they were down 10 with 1:20 to go and somehow forced overtime against Houston.
Let's see what the talking points are after the game, because Angel actually had like a princess crown sitting on her seat. Like an actual like princess die crown sitting on her seat. So they're gonna make a big deal out of that.
Well, I
So
think I remember that from the last time they played,
mhm.
right? Didn't they crown her?
Yeah, she did it again. But she isn't talking now.
Yeah, they're all quiet. Yeah. Defeat is probably setting in. I don't think you're going to see anything out of CC. I think she understands that she hasn't won the chip, and it's probably best for her to stay locked in because, yeah, because I agree with Alvin. I think a South Carolina beatdown is coming.
Well, next we'll get CC versus either Paige Buckets or Juju. That
You
should be.
guys think Clark is gonna hit a logo three to break the tournament record for threes made in a game?
If somebody has made her aware of it, man, might as well take a crack at it. But she wants to win this game more than she wants
Oh, they got to
that
turn up.
three. But if oh, I think you guys are faster than me.
Oh my gosh, they called a charge.
Oh yeah, that was a good take.
Oh my gosh. That looked like an and one. Give me a replay. I don't want to see the coach. Where's the replay?
Oh, they're telling her goodbye.
Oh, she's moving. I don't know about that. Did she just fall out?
Yeah.
They may need to add that the bubble the NBA has down there.
The restriction, yeah.
Yeah.
They had that in the college game now too this year, I thought. I think they finally brought it in. I thought she was still moving, that defender. Man,
Oh,
I don't think it would have made any difference. But
she gutted it out. And she limping while she walking. So, but had she not played, they would have been talking about her terrible. So she had to go gut it out. Uh,
yeah,
did anybody see how she actually got hurt? Like, I definitely did
Yes,
not see it.
she got hurt on the block. So when she went up to block Caitlin Clark used the off arm to kind of, you know how players did with that off arm, trying to shield yourself from getting blocked. And
Uh-huh.
she kind of extended. And when she extended, Angel came down and rolled that ankle going out of bounds.
Oh yeah, yeah. And as the game progresses with that type of stuff, it gets worse and it starts swelling and it's yeah. But regardless, it is what it is.
And the only thing I would say, if Mulkey made a mistake, she should have had Flau'jae Gardner and Caitlin Clark making those shots way more difficult because she had the foot speed and the athleticism and she had the length just to stay in front of her. She wasn't going to shut her down, but she was going to make those shots way more difficult.
yeah. Put your best athlete on her. That seems like a no-brainer. Yeah, I mean, to me, the Iowa teammates stepped up today. They've made a lot of shots. They've been playing great D. And with Angel Reese getting hurt, both the teams playing well. That's enough to slant slant things to Clark here.
I take my hat off of them. Their game plan, they did what they had to do. Now they move on. They got to prepare for either UConn point guard or Juju. So it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, so we got South Carolina in the women's game and UConn in the men's game. Both look like heavy favorites to win it all. Does anybody have a take on why one of those is not going to happen?
Caitlin Clark. That's the reason why. You
Yeah,
know,
that's probably the best chance for it to happen.
I would actually argue that Purdue has a better chance of beating UConn because I've watched South Carolina several times this year, and they're on a revenge mission. They have not lost a game this season. They've been in every scenario in games this year. I just don't see. They have everything that LSU doesn't have. What they had, LSU, South Carolina has more depth. They have a more skilled big person that defends the rim. They have better athletic guard that Caitlin would have to guard her on both ends. I think it would be tough sledding. I think Purdue has a better chance of beating UConn.
Yeah, I think that's the matchup everybody wants, Purdue, UConn. So it looks like we're heading into this as our final score here tonight. There's just under a minute left. They'll just be fouling to run this out. 88-76. It was a lot of fun watching this game with you guys tonight. So we are back on again next Monday. It'll be a watch party for the national championship game. Ideally, it'll be that UConn-Purdue matchup we all want, although I'm sure would be fun if State winds up in there somehow. I think we'll all be rooting for the underdog and hoping that happens. So we'll be back on for that game next Monday. After that, we get into NFL draft mode. I'm really excited for the draft coming up. We'll be on every Monday leading up to the draft, and then on the draft, we'll be live those nights. So we'll be watch partying on that Thursday night and Friday night for the draft. And then once we know where the rookies are, that's when we'll be going into fantasy football mode, and also NBA playoffs will be right around the corner. I think they start a week after. I think there's 2 weeks left in the season. So it's been a great time with you guys here tonight. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy game 2, UConn and USC, and I'll see you back on next Monday.
Okay, fellas, have a good one.
See y'all.
Thank y'all. Have a good one.